let's make a Independence Day pillow using this pillow form and this felt. Hi, I'm Angie with Cutting Edge Quilter. Thanks for joining me today. I want to show you how to make these quick and easy decorations for Independence Day for your home. So I've got two pieces of fabric. I cut to, my pillowcases are 12 by 12. I'm going to go ahead and cut them 12 by 12 because I know what the seam allowance is going to be a little bit smaller, but I want them to kind of be a little bit tight on the pillow. I don't want it to be too loose. So I've got these cut out now. I want to cut my felt with my silhouette, but these are my top pieces for my pillowcases. I'm going to cut two smaller pieces for the back, but I need to cut my felt and put my felt on there first, if that makes sense. So I'll show you what I'm doing in just a minute. So for the felt, what I need to do is iron on the back some heat and bond, and I use whatever I have available. This one's sewable, permanent heat and bond, so this is what I have. I also have several other kinds that I could use, but this is what I'm using today because I will be doing a blanket stitch to sew these onto the fabric. So what I'm going to do is iron this on to my felt. There's no back and front on the felt, so I'm going to go ahead and iron those on, and then I will cut them using my silhouette. And how I iron these is with this heat and bond. There is a side, and I don't think you could see that, but it's a shiny side. It's kind of shiny, and that's the little glue pieces up top. So this is what I'm ironing, and then once I iron that all on and cut it, after I cut it, I can peel back the paper, and I will be able to stick that to my fabric, and then I can sew that down using a big blanket stitch. So it's kind of sticking to my fabric, so this is how I put it on there. And just make sure I get the corners really well. I think I have that all ironed down. What I like to do is just kind of keep running it through as I go. Just run it around. We don't want to go too, follow the instructions on your heat and bond, but we don't want to just sit for too long on that because it will stick. See, it's not coming off there, so that's it. I am going to let that cool down a little bit. But this is how I will put it in my silhouette to cut out the pattern or the shape that I want, and I'll show you that right now. So this is my piece of fabric that I'm going to put on the front of the pillowcase. And what I want to do is find the center. So what I'm going to do is just fold it like this. And then just kind of crease it with my fingers. And then I'm going to fold it again like this. Where it's like a little square. And crease it really well. I could iron it, but I think I'll just leave it like this because I'll be able to see it. And you unfold it. And I don't know if you could see it, but there's right in the center there is where you want to be. So I want to kind of, this is what I cut out. It still has the backing paper on it from my heat and bond, but that's okay. I'm just looking for the center here. So I'm just going to put it like that. What I'm trying to match is this up here, this point, to the edge, or the mark. Okay. And then I will put in my stars after. I'll do my stars after I get everything all set. First, before I do the stars, I'm going to go like that. And then this goes in the middle. That. I think this goes over here. Yeah. So it's going to be kind of spaced out like this, and it'll be like so. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off the backing to each one. I'll just do that here. I'll start with this one. So I'm going to peel off my backing. Pretty easy to peel off, and you can probably see the shiny right here. That's so it can be ironed down. And I'm basically just going to tack this down a little bit for now. After I get everything on there, I'll get my, you can either put an old towel, or I have some Teflon sheets that I'm going to put over it to get a good press. And I'm going to leave that just a little bit. There's a little gap right there because I am going to put a blanket, either I'm going to put a blanket stitch, or I think maybe a satin stitch. I'll figure that out whenever I stitch it down. This is the front. What I will do now is, the sticky comes off after a little while, so I'm going to just sew around the edges of all of these. They're meant to be spaced, and I think it turned out pretty cute. Okay, on these I'm going to go ahead and do a blanket stitch because there's a few spots that you can see on the inside, so I just want to make a little blanket stitch to cover those up. So I'm going to use my kind of a beige thread to kind of match these stars. And I have a white bobbin in here. And when you're stitching this, you want to make sure that you go all the way around and you go slow and pivot with your needle down, so that way you can pivot while your needle's in there and it won't drag your fabric all over the place. So and I'm using a pretty wide stitch because I want it to cover up the blue and my star. Usually satin stitches, they're pretty small, you know, little stitch, but this one I'm using a 6mm stitch with a 0.1mm length for my satin stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to line this up with my foot. There's a little, like a divot in the middle. That's how I'm going to line the middle part where I want it to be. Okay, now that I got my stars done with my satin stitch, I'm going to use a blanket stitch I'm going to do these first since I already have this color. There's going to be pretty simple straight line blanket stitches. And there's the blanket stitch. Isn't that cute? Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to go around all of these, the rest of them, using blanket stitches. Now that I have made my front of the pillow, I'm going to make the back of the pillow. I'm going to make it like an envelope pillowcase. So what I'm going to do is I cut the width to be 12 inches across, so it'll be the same as the front. I'm going to cut the top about 5 inches above, so I'll cut it 17 inches. Go ahead and I'm going to get this edge straight over here. And I'm telling you, I have these little things from True Cut on my rulers to make them where they're not sliding around so much, but I'm not for sure if I like them so much because it just kind of, it pulls my fabric around. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. Okay, so I'm going to cut this 17 inches. Okay. Get on this side because this side has some, I'm not for sure what has on it, but these have been kind of, this fabric is old. I'm just using it for my personal use, so I'm just using the old fabric for me. So I'm going to go to 17. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Now what I'm going to do is cut it in half. Now I'm going to cut this in half. So 17, about 8.5. Okay, so this is what half of it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and fold this about 1/4 of an inch down, and then fold another 1/4 of an inch down to make my hem. This is what it should look like when it's done. Now we're going to do a French seam for the pillow. So make sure that your fabric is wrong side out, so it is wrong sides touching each other. Lay one down here, and then your other one up here, and I hemmed both of them, so I've got both of them hemmed. So lay the other one on top like this. And what we're going to do is just sew all around the edges right here. Okay, now we're going to trim off the edges here. Okay, now that I have cut my edges, I'm going to flip it inside out, and I'm going to sew around the edges again using 1/4 of an inch seam. So what I've learned making these pillows, this is the finished product. The pillows are 12 by 12, and I thought that I wanted them to be just the right size for my pillow forms. So I made this one, I cut the fabric out to be 12 by 12. And as you can tell, it's very snug. It's actually, after I sewed all of this up, it kind of puckered a little bit, and then I added the French seam on the outside, so it really has made it to like probably a 10 by 10 pillowcase. And here's the back. See, it's kind of busting out right here. So I've learned, whenever I made my second one, to add 2 more inches to the width. So on this one, the width is 12 and then 12. So on this one, I went ahead and added 2 more inches, so it's 14 by 14. And you see as I sewed this on here, it's puckered up a little bit. And then with my French seam, so basically after I got everything done and put that all on there, it's after everything's all said and done, is pretty much a 12 by 12 pillowcase. And this is the back. So it turned out pretty good. It kind of fits on there just perfect. And that was it. It was pretty easy, not too bad. So actually with the felt, I'd like to make a lot more things with felt. So I have some felted wool that I purchased from I believe it was from one of the shops that I went to, and I wanted to make that into some applique for a quilt. These I just purchased this felt from Joann's, and it would just come in a package. It's fairly cheap. I just wanted something just to try it out. I actually wanted to try out my silhouette just to make sure that it would cut it, and it cut it perfectly. So I had no issues cutting this, and so I feel confident that I'll be able to cut the applique, the felted wool applique, to make my quilts. So stay tuned for that. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and click the like button below. Thanks for watching.